Hello everyone, I'm Yujin Zhong from the Technology Language courses, and today I'm going to do my presentation. And the topic I choose in my thematic unit is eco-friendly issue. And the reason why I choose this issue is because my targeting students, they were senior high school students, then probably at the second year of their senior high school, and they mature enough to understand the environmental issue. And nowadays, the rise awareness of environmental problems. So I think it's a very good opportunity for they to know a little bit how to protect our Earth. And that's why I choose this topic. And let's do start it. And from the first PPT, you can clearly see that it's about the topic I just mentioned. And later I will start from my web draft. This is my web draft. I made it, and from the central idea, of course, is about eco-friendly lifestyle, and especially I would like to mention about the important part is the long life learning, because I think long life learning is really important for students, because they might probably only studying for 2 or 4 hours per week, and they go home, if they want to continue their Chinese learning, library definitely provide a good source for them to read, find the books, and of course, unlike Chinese courses, they can take some others like cram school or even the university provide this kind of Chinese courses. And for the students, they would like to output present their learning skill. They can just find some friends, Chinese friend who is living currently in China or Taiwan, so they can find some friends from FB or Twitters or Snapchat. They can check with them so they can practice their either oral speaking skill or writing skill, and it's very good. And for the communication part, and we separate into three different groups. One is interpretive and interpersonal and presentational. And for the connection parts, we also sometimes connection can be wide, and we this time I use the technology including in these connections. And also we talk a little bit about how Chinese people stay in health from their daily diet. And for the culture, yes, and also comparison part, and we will talk about a little bit. And for the comparison part, I will compare the grammar points differences and how they present both in English and Chinese. And for the very first, I will like to present about the pollution issue. And the pollution issue is very important. And I used the YouTube, PPT, and Google Classroom for them to know about this issue. And the vocabulary teacher I will guide students to read each of the words that you show on the picture right here. Those words like 水源污染, water pollution, 空气污染, those things, and match with the pictures. And I will get them to read, and then ask her class to repeat after me and explain what is the meaning of each picture. Actually, it's obvious to see from the picture. And I will also play them some a video, very short video about the pollution. This short 3 minutes film and shows some vocabularies we are going to learn. So I will have students to watch these films in advance, and later we will show them the pictures and vocabularies and on the PPT, and for students to practice their orally or their writing. And later we will go to the next part is the grammar point issue, and students need to learn the grammar to know some simple sentence patterns so they can use their daily by this unit. Okay, like this one, I will ask them to do the substitution and drills, and we put a main sentence, a question and answer, and how those questions should be answered, and we will get them to do the substitution and for them to practice their oral. Of course, and the student in the class, they have to, after the practice whole class together, they should pair to have the conversation Q&A and then switch role together, so they can get familiar with this. And the other one is interpersonal part. Students are able to exchange their understanding both in vocabulary and the grammar points, and from the field, and both from the practicing from the grammar parts and the vocabulary parts. And then students and teachers can pair out the students in class, just like I mentioned, and the teacher will show the PTT, and the students can pair out to use the grammar and practice them, so they can get familiar with how the word they can recognize and how to pronounce those words, how to use those new vocabularies, pulling into the right sentence. And the next part is presentational, right? And the presentational part, in the presentational part, students will write the worksheet on the Google Classroom. That's why I use the Google Classroom, and the activity is a solution and plus the recording on the worksheet. Students will write the worksheet on the Google Classroom to help them review the unit they learned today and find out the possible solution for each of the environment pollutions. In the group discussion, after group discussion, they should write their final solution and record how many plastic products they used weekly on the worksheet on the Google Classroom, and share them with other classmates. And these activities can present their understanding for this unit and build out their own ideas on how to solve the environmental problems. And this is a Google Classroom that I made. This is a Google Classroom I make, and maybe just not too big. And this is like vocabulary practice worksheet, and this is a worksheet I will ask them to do. Please write your Chinese answer next to the corresponding picture, and like this one, they should write 水源污染 water pollution, and like the second one is air pollution, 空气污染, things like this. And the second one is about practicing their grammar sheet. They should use the full sentence and how should we reduce the air pollution, and they have to translate it from English to Chinese. Yeah. And later, we asked them to record how many plastic bags they use on Monday, Tuesday from weekly days, and record it and share with the classroom. Then later we can have the class discussion about this. Okay, this is the presentation note. Okay, for the other one, the lesson 2, we jump to lesson 2. And lesson 2 is that we use several technology like Skype, iPad, Twitter, Facebook, and Chinese podcast, which is called Mandarin Bean. Mandarin Bean is a new found thing that I think is really useful. And this one and the activity I will use the review and learn the vocabularies. I will use the Google Classroom, iPad, and Skype. And the reading materials I made last week, they have to read this before they go to the class. And the reading materials is I wrote it. It's very, very easy because those students at this age, they might not still read such very difficult things. So it's about how to protect the forest. I will show them some pictures, some vocabularies like this. a very, very short paragraph, feeling too easy to understand. And I will explain them. I will explain the vocabularies, making them understand about the passage, small passage. And later, the activity 2, talk to the environmentalist. They will use the Google Hangout. They will attend to the Google Hangout together, so they can talk to a whole class can talk to the environmentalist together and discuss about how they think they can improve the environment. And the next one, also the lesson 2. Yeah, okay, so about community. And I also do 2 more activities and learn beyond the classroom. They can share with a Chinese friend, just like I mentioned in lesson 1, with the Snapchat or Facebook. They found it so they can have an oral speaking practice at home, and read the Chinese news and exchange the concept. They can easily read the Chinese news like on Twitter. A student can follow the Chinese news posting from teachers. Student can just read the news and hashtag this news and leave the message under news, so await another one to answer it, so they can have a conversation in written form. And for lesson 2, another long life learning, of course, as I just mentioned before that, they can also use the Learn and Talk on Facebook. There are many international Chinese studying groups on Facebook, and teacher will provide one of them for students to log in. It's very easy. We just type like a Chinese learning, and like this one is where I found. And one day, one of a friend from the Facebook, they just talked to me, say they would like to learn Chinese from me. And they know that I'm from Taiwan. I speak Chinese, I speak Mandarin. And this one is pretty good. It's an open group that everybody can use it. So I would recommend this one to everyone. Sorry, it's a little bit mistake, and I would recommend this one. This one is very good, and you can just simply add it up into part of the become a member of them. It's for free, and you can find a partner there. There are many Chinese who speaks English as well, and you can ask some Chinese question. And this is a very good website, and you can find on FB very easily. And the next one. And next one, also the part of lesson 2 of a community long life learning, and the activity is a free Chinese learning podcast. And I use the iPad Chinese podcast Mandarin Bean to help students to learn Chinese. Mandarin Bean is a great tool for Chinese learners since it provides Chinese pinyin words or article and audios, which help students to gain their ability of listening, reading, and speaking, both accept learning. And so students can log in for being free members on Chinese learning. So this could be a very good tool for long life learning. And let's just show a little bit. This is a typical one that you can find from the Mandarin Bean. This is a picture of the news, and later you can hear something.
摔倒之星挑战国内走红。据报道，最新网络潮流摔倒之星挑战在国内发展成了一股并非单纯炫富，而是炫耀个人爱好和专业能力的潮流。
As you hear that you can hear the sound they pronounce as well as you can see the pinyin up here. If you don't know and you learn how to pinyin, you can still pronounce along with the reporters. So it's very cool, very useful. If you are at a certain level like high school, even above, or a university student who are learning Chinese at a very high level, they can apply this for their own life learning after they stop learning from school. So I just found this, and this is for free. So everyone can get online to get this free materials to read, both their listening and can practice their reading parts and can practice their reading parts, and even though they can get familiar with pinyin. Okay, and this one is the lesson 3 about culture, and the culture sorted into different groups. And A is perspective, and this in this lesson 3 we use different technologies such as YouTube, Google Hangout, Facebook, written Chinese dictionary app, and QR code. And in this unit, the teacher activity like watching news and learn, teacher will post the environmental Chinese news on the class forum and Facebook, so students can have watching the film by using their iPad at the beginning of the class. And because the time is limited, so let's skip about the film, and I will teach some of the vocabulary just as follow. I will use the Chinese and English the comparison, so they know that 免费, like the first one is free. 泡面 means instant noodles. 筷子 means chopsticks, and things like this. They will go through this. Of course, they have to do some practice, like speaking practice. And the speaking practice, students has to, teacher will guide students to read each vocabulary twice, and teacher will randomly say the vocabulary in English, and students here have to say the Chinese words directly, so to show them that they can know what English matches the Chinese words. For the next one, and activity writing practice. And for the writing practice, teachers will guide students to how to write each vocabularies, and students have to practice their writing. And they have to use the written Chinese dictionary and the PPT I show you right here. And the PPT is very useful, and they can also just use the online version, or they can use the QR code to direct into the online. And I can show you a little bit about this dictionary, Chinese dictionary app, because it's quite useful and very handy for students. Like this one, if you know that any words, you can just insert the words right here. For example, I say 你, and I want to know the handwriting. Okay. And you can practice 你. And if it's not, okay, that's the first one, right? 你. Okay, I also can use pinyin. Do the practicing. You can type the pinyin inside, or I want to learn more about 你. I want to learn how to write it, so you write several times for me to know how to write it. If you forget how to write and you watch this one, and you can realize
你
you also provide pronunciation, and also like this, pinyin, and the definition as well. So it's very useful for student Chinese learner to use this app. Okay, and the next one, the activity about review the film and Q&A. After they watching the film previous activity, and students and are familiar with the vocabularies from the film and the news, and students have to use their iPad to review the film again. And then teacher will post the question on PPT as below and divide students into 4 groups for their group discussion. I will ask the following questions, and the students, after student group discussion, teacher will find one members from each group to share his or her answers to everyone in the classroom. Okay, next one. And practice. And it's about practice, cultural practice. Then I will use the activity like recognize and say. I also use the PPT. Students have to learn how to recognize and say the following words like here. The following words, just like a vocabulary, just as I told before. And teacher also guide them to recognize those words by conducting the activity recognizing say. And teacher will ask the student to speak out the correct Chinese words while teacher is speaking English. The same similar game, just like before. And teacher says the words like annual usage. The student have to reply like 每年用量. And the Chinese word directing corresponding to the English words that teacher provided. And activity 2 is about like analysis and discussion. And in this activity, teacher will use Facebook and the iPad. Teacher will show the below chart, the chart right here on PPT or on Facebook. And class, I will show this on Facebook forum in class, and students should use their iPad to link this Facebook class forum in class. So they can directly use their iPad to link here to their classroom Facebook forum, so they can see this chart below and talk about how the reduced amount of plastic usage can help to protect Taiwan's environment. And they will have a good discussion, and after the discussion, each student should write down their own ideas and how this will help to protect the environment and post it on FB forum. Since they can leave the message below, so after the chart is right here, and below each student have to write their own ideas about how this reduce the usage of plastic bag could help Taiwanese environment to be improved. And the part C is also this unit lesson 3 is activity. What are the environmental codes? And in this activity, teacher will show the QR code and PPT, and they can just use the QR code to watch a YouTube film, and students will watch this YouTube film and recognize the environmental labels below for knowing how Chinese people recognize and apply those authentic environmental codes set up by the government in their daily lives. And the students will know how Chinese people put this recycling code into their daily practice. Let's watch a little bit about this film. Yeah.
Hi everyone, today I'm going to explain the environment protection in Taiwan. Taiwanese people's environment awareness is reflected in many aspects. This time, I will show them to you, which can be divided into several parts. Let's see some pictures. First, the government vigorously promotes garbage classification in Taiwan. It's hard to find the rubbish bins in the streets, and there are few cigarette food bags of garbage on the ground. Consciousness of environmental protection may become the
because time is limited, so let's cut it down. As we saw the introductions of how the Taiwanese government will apply those recycling policies about related to the environmental issues, and they will have ideas in how those things, those sites represent each kind of recycling policy. And the 17th one. This is also about the culture as a product, find out the matches. I will ask the students to do this activity, and they will use iPad, Google Classroom, and video recorder. Teacher will make a form like below, and the Google Classroom, and students should use their iPad to log in and fill the form. And the form will be shown as below, and students need to fill 2 kinds of charge for each of the classified kind. After this, students should upload their video record to Google Classroom on finding out the charge for each kind of a classified charge, and explain why students think that should be classified into certain kind of charge. And because the time also limited, but I just show you very soon what I made in the Google Classroom. It's like this. It's very easy. Okay, next one is lesson 4, comparison, about cultural comparison, and watch the film and answer the questions. And in these activities, I have included 2 films. One is how Taiwanese government deal with the trash classification, and the other is about the current American recycling province. There are 2 assignments in test teach class. This is the FPP, and students in the class have to use their iPad and scan the QR code teacher provided and show on the A4 sheet. And students can go to the Taste Teach and watch the 2 films and answer the worksheet enclosed in the Taste Teach and submit to teachers. And the two different. This is test sheet I made. Like there are 2 different form, 2 different feel. They might just learn some.
是一般垃圾、资源回收与处理3种。一般废弃物处理方式：用过的尿布、卫生的垃圾袋装好，再交付给清洁队。容器要分开回收。
I will teach those words like recycling, 资源回收 or 纸类 papers. All of things for the students. And also, after watching, they will learn those other words from the films, the vocabularies, as well as to the second one. And I will have a short pop quiz that is multiple choices. This I made in Taste Teach. Okay, after that, we will collect and classify the charge. A teacher will ask the student to bring 1 item of each following kinds of charge and discuss how these waste should be classified and how this trash will pollute our environment. And the 19th one is also lesson 4 comparison. We use the grammar comparison. Then we use the Google Translation and iPad. I just jumped to the example. Like for example, it is cold today. It is cold today, and 今天天气很冷. We usually in the sentence we can find that in English we always put the date, time at the end of the sentence, while for Chinese people we usually say at the beginning. And this is a difference. Like I will ask the student to find the other different kind of grammars comparison or the similar grammar patterns, but just in different sentences, so they can know the structures, the difference in the grammar parts, both in Chinese and English. And the next one, this is lesson 5 finally, and we use the YouTube QR code, iMovie, Google Arts and Cultures, and Playco Chinese Dictionary app. Okay, in this one, teachers will teach students the stroke and the pronunciation of those vocabularies below, and teacher will then guide them how to write those words and say these words twice. And if students then have writing problems or forget how to write or pronounce, they can also use the app called PlayCode Chinese Dictionary app. It's very good to use them, and you can use it. And later, teacher will give them the speaking practice part. Teachers will divide whole class into 4 teams and number them, each of the students, and teacher will show a picture card of each of the vocabularies and can number student. Student who is called has to write down the Chinese words and say the words. The faster the winner, things like this. And also the practice of grammar, also use the substitution and drill. And later will conduct the Q&A and role play. And this one about the health issue, well, I will use the storytelling, idea sharing, the different dialogue between China and American by showing the film. I use the iMovie to combine these 2 films, and for this one. This is the last part of lesson 5 and lesson 5B, technology usage. I include in the lesson 5, and I will ask the student to do the video making programs, and this activities is listen and write down your ideas. And students have to watch the short film, very short film as below, and the link given in the Google Hangout. I will give the Google Hangout link so they can get into, and link is to watch the short film. And students have to introduce 5 different healthy Chinese food to the whole class by making a 5-minute video. Students have to compare those introduced Chinese foods to the counterparts of American foods and tell why eating Chinese food can stay healthier. And let's look a little bit about this field.
叫做叶黄素，叶黄素可以预防黄斑部的病变哦。最后是颜色丰富的花青素，花青素也是非常好的天然抗氧化剂，可以。台湾是水果王国，一年四季都吃得到水果，不同于蔬菜，水果的热量高，糖分也高。
Students will watch this film roughly for 5 minutes, and after watching, teacher will explain the content roughly to the students, and teacher will use picture cards to divide those food into different groups, so students will understand like a fruit group, like meat group, a protein group, a grain group, something like this, and they can choose the counterpart, like our main food is rice, right? And counterpart of American food, it might be the bread. And the student can compare some like the food, the bread with the rice, and compare them which diet will make you healthier. And this is the end. Thanks for everyone, and thanks for professor. You are always helping me, and thanks for every students, every classmates. You also supported and helping each others and giving the suggestion. Which are very inspiring, and I do really learn a lot from this, since that a lot of things that I haven't and never stepping before, and now from this class I have come out so many ideas about making the distant learning system. I think it's very useful. I can record some of the teaching things and then upload it on YouTube. I can try it a little bit and see how it goes and how far we can go, because since I know that there are some assistants, some Taiwanese primary school assistants, they are started doing this, and of course they have some other option if after they watching at home the videos or lessons at home. When they go to school, they also have the test to see if they're reading this did well done on their home job. And also they have some virtual practical courses as well to companies. So I think it's a very good idea, and so that for the students very far from our country, they can also learn Chinese, right? So thanks for everyone provide me the chances to present, and thank you, and hope you all have a nice weekend. Thank you.